So, what do people who overcome their obstacles have in common? Rather than allow the obstacle to overwhelm them, they stay focused on the vision. Not only the purpose that fuels it, but also the key action habits and attitudes needed to reach their goal. What I'm going to bring to you today is from Valorie Burton's book, Rules of Resilience. And sometimes in our marriage and in many areas of our life, we must be resilient to keep going and keep reaching for that best life. Today, you're looking at the importance of vision and second chances. Don't we all need second chances? And we all need vision. How do we keep our eye on what we want to obtain, where we want to go when there's stuff going on? Well, today we're diving into the transformative power of vision in your marriage. Imagine having a shared vision with your spouse that not only guides you through the challenges, but also reignites that passion and connection that you once had. Does that sound amazing? Yeah, it does, right? Well, today's episode is loaded, so be sure and stay with me until the end because you won't believe this, but people have really short attention spans these days. Well, I'm going to give you 5 actionable steps, whether you're at a crossroads, having some real challenges, or you're simply looking to strengthen your connection. And at the end of today, you might want to grab a pencil and I'll give you 2 tools you'll want to use to begin creating your own extraordinary marriage. Are you ready? Well, number one, the role of second chances. This could be anything in your marriage, right? Giving that spouse a second chance, are we a little unforgiving? Are they frustrated constantly, right? So we all get caught up in the irritating behaviors of our spouse. Yeah, it gets our focus. It might be messiness. I mean, cleaning up all the time after somebody is no fun, right? Messiness. Our spouse might be self absorbed, critical, and maybe the worst thing, they might have a hot temper. Because people who have a hot temper, that tends to be their top emotion, and everything makes them mad. They might be stressed out about something else, and they spout all their frustration out on you. And some second chances are bigger than others. I have a story from whenever my husband and I were dating. We were in high school, we were in chorus together, and he asked me out to the homecoming dance. I love to dance. And so I was excited to go. We didn't know each other that great back then. He didn't have his driver's license, so his parents had to drive us because he wasn't yet 16. And, he's a super nice guy. And that's what I knew him as, a super nice guy. And I actually liked him. I didn't like him. So we went to the homecoming dance, and guess what? He said he only slow danced. I'm like, how can somebody only slow dance? If you don't know my background, I'm a ballet teacher. I taught jazz, a little bit of tap. I even have flamenco whenever I lived in California. And I love to dance. I mean, like, I think when you got the music in you, you have it forever. Well, he only slow danced. So here I was at a dance, and I was only going to get to dance slow, because I'm with a date. If I wasn't with a date, I would find some girlfriends or another guy might ask and I could dance. But no, I'm stuck. I can't dance and enjoy the night. So you know what? This is really shallow. And back in high school, we don't know better, and we are only thinking about ourselves in the moment. And I just decided, well, I think I don't really like him anymore. Did I say he got a second chance? Because we've been married over 40 years. Yeah, a second chance. But on that same instance, I could say I got a second chance because he might not wanted to date me anymore after that. And he had a girlfriend or two in between there. So the second thing I would mention is my husband and I get along really, really well. I am so thankful. But once in a while, something ignites that fire, and it's usually me who gets really, really mad. So I consider myself easygoing, but if you really push me or something crazy happens, yeah, I might get really angry. Well, in short, because I tell this story on another one of my podcasts, in short, we have been working on rental properties for on one rental property for 3 weeks. So every day after work, Saturdays, and in the end, even on Sunday afternoon, we would go and work on this rental property. Well, we had to paint like 3 layers of paint. We had to put white all over most of the house, and then we had to put 2 to 3 layers after that because our renter painted many of the walls navy blue and dark burgundy. And it takes a lot to cover those. Not only that, but they had painted, literally painted the white baseboards, like your 4-year-old could do. Paint, when they're painting the bottom of the wall, they just painted an inch onto the baseboard. Yeah, it looked really nice. And not only that, they painted, an inch into the white roof of the room, ceiling of the room, the white ceiling of the room. So here there was this burgundy right onto the ceiling, burgundy onto the baseboard, and we spent hours and hours painting that house. And yes, I help. There's a lot of things when it comes to doing that kind of stuff that I can do, and many things I can't. So I do what I can. I was on my way to the house. We've been painting for 3 weeks. We are just about done. Just about done. Well, when I walked in the door, I saw white splotches. No, excuse me. I saw spackling, spackling on all kinds of spots on the wall. Not one or two or three, not seven. I mean, I could see the kitchen and I could see the den and the foyer and spackling all over. I'm like, what in the world? We just finished our last paint coat of paint. There's only a few more places to paint even. And so I start walking through the hallways. I look into the bedrooms and spackling, spackling. Oh my gosh. Well, I can only say that, sometimes we do things mindfully and sometimes, we do things therapeutically. I'm not exactly what that might be in that, but I can only say he's a smart guy. But he started spackling and he just wasn't paying attention. Maybe it was therapeutic. Maybe he was listening to music. I don't know what he was doing, but he spackled hundreds and hundreds of spots on all the walls throughout the house. Yes, they had to be sanded and painted again. Let's just say if I ever had high blood pressure, it went through the roof because I was so very, very mad. I couldn't stand it. And honestly, I left. I don't usually do that, but I left. I'm like, I was so, so mad. I'm like, I'm not going back over there and I'm not painting anything else. He's going to have to finish all of it by himself because I was so mad. But quickly after that, I took a breath, let go of it, and moved on. But it does make a great story, doesn't it? I moved on, and it's probably one of the things in our marriage that made me angrier than anything else ever. Well, there might be one or two other things, but we're not going in that today. So I'm so very angry. I'm so mad. Well, there's many people who grab a bone and won't let go. They will not move past their frustration. We all have different kind of emotions, but some people just can't move past their frustration, whether it made them angry or whether they just close down and won't talk. They just can't move on. Thank the Lord, I did move on that day. He's glad too. So, what's your beef with your spouse? Do you have a beef with your spouse? Something that makes you a little more angry than other things? Well, it's important to be open, share freely, listen to both sides. Did you hear that part? Listen to both sides and to be forgiving. Because when you're not, these things are like a needle sticking you, prickling you all the time. If you don't let go and you don't forgive and move on, you are making withdrawals in your relationship. Remember how I always talk about withdrawals and deposits? Deposits are good things you do with your spouse, for your spouse, laughter, having some fun together. And withdrawals are when you're mad, when you're pouty, When you're mean with your words, you're not nice. All those things are withdrawals. Not forgiving is a withdrawal from the relationship. So why can't we live up to our spouse's expectations? Or why can't they live up to our expectations? That is what I said, right? So, John Maxwell, in his book, he has a 101% principle. And it says this: focus on the 1% you love about your spouse and give it 100% of your attention. Let me read that again. Focus on the 1%, like maybe everything irritates you and it's getting the attention, right? Stop. Refocus on the 1% you love about your spouse. You loved something when you married them, and give that one thing, that 1%, 100% of your attention so that you can give a little praise. You can give a little love. As long as you're focusing on all the things that irritate you, you can't get past things. And those are going to ruin your relationship. So, why can't we live up to our spouse's expectation, or why can't they live up to ours? A, at home we let down our guard. We're at home. We have to be our natural selves. We all have our own natural behavior styles, how we just are. That comes from childhood, how our parents raised us and what we saw from them. It comes from our ingrained personality styles, I like to call it our hardwired personality styles. We let our guard down and we just be ourselves because we don't want to be on all the time. We got to be, relaxed and ourselves. B, we forget how our actions feel to our spouse. Or you might be thinking, my spouse forgets how his actions make me feel, right? Or it might be guys listening to this opposite of that. See, we have different expectations. So here again, how we've been raised, what our priorities are, what our values are, our personality styles, again, I bring into that. All of these things make our expectations. We expect our spouse to do and be talented in and be great in the same things we are. Sometimes opposites attract. And sometimes that works nicely because you complement each other. And other times opposites attract and you repel each other because you're so hard on each other. But I'm not going into that today. So, number one, how do you overcome these obstacles? Self awareness, like what you're listening to today. A lot of times we hear something and we're like, oh, well, I never thought of that. And I can sure tell you that I am very aware of many, many more things at this age than I was in my 20s. I mean, life is full of learning and growing. And not only do we do that at work, keep learning new things, even as a mom at home, you keep learning new things. If you have babies, first you bring that baby home and you're like, what do I do with this baby? Like it's a scary thing. But sooner rather than later, you start to gain confidence and feel good because you learn how to take care of that baby. Life is full of growth, places to grow. When we grow, we become self-aware. We can cut down on some of those things that are irritating our spouse, right? You want to overcome these things, you want to be open. You want to listen and talk. You want to listen and talk. So you want to listen to what the other one said, and then you want to share your heart and your feelings. And you want to do this without anybody getting all upset about it. Then find what brings you together. What do you have fun together? I have that in, I think it's episode 96. Why wait? Do it now. You should listen to that one. It shares things that bring you together because often we get so busy taking care of business, we forget to really deposit and input into our relationship. So I think that's 96. So then find what brings you together, create connection, create new habits. Not only create them, but then practice them. If arguing is a problem for you, grab my free gift. Why couples argue and fight. I think it's like 7 things. if you can get to the bottom of it and see why do we fight so much, and you start to analyze and figure it out, give it time. Why wouldn't you invest time and energy and maybe even money for counseling or coaching or someone to help you move past things you just can't quite move past? That's why there's so many divorces. People don't do anything until it's too late. And when it's too late, they feel that loss and the love's already gone. All right. So you can find that at theextraordinarymarriage.com/free dash gifts. So number two, how do you create vision? Because that's what we're doing today. I can't wait to show you my tools at the end. Discuss what's important to you. You each sit down, have a conversation. My husband and I were talking yesterday, and we find that the news gives us many things to talk about. When you live together and you have children and that kind of thing, you're always talking about the kids. You may talk a little bit about work. Discuss what's important to you, family, respecting each other. Ex- um, do you need expensive things, brand names? Is time together important to you? Is raising the kids together important to you? Do you like vacations? That might have to be an inexpensive vacation or an expensive vacation, but little vacations. Personal growth, education. What is important to you? You should know the top things that are important to your spouse, and they should know what's most important to you because you can't please each other in everything, but you can please each other in some things. Think about how you could strengthen your relationship and improve that connection. Everybody wants that. Sometimes we're so busy we do not even realize the connection is wavering, right? Um, but how could you strengthen your relationship and improve that connection? Now, let's create our first tool, and that is called a vision board. I created a vision board many, many years ago in Mary Kay Cosmetics. Actually, I'm still with the company, but I was a director for 20 years, and they taught us so very much. They taught me to believe, to regain hope, because you know what? When you're young, finances are pretty small, and maybe you don't have the money to do this, you don't have the money to do that, and you find yourself using those words. Well, I don't have the money for this, and we can't afford that, and that's negative. That's negative, right? And instead of having a budget, or you could call it a spending plan, right? But Mary Kay helped me get past my inhibitions, my unbelief in myself, helped me to concentrate and to focus on what I needed to do to move forward in a business instead of just thinking about my discomfort and talking to people about the business, asking people if they would like a facial and makeover. I learned to say, not just to say anything about like, would you like to do a facial and makeover? Instead of thinking about that, I thought about offering, not asking, offering, not asking, and that might be another thing that would be good for our relationship. Sometimes is to offer, not ask. I was just saying to my daughter the other day, instead of saying, "Hey, I need this done. This has not been done for 3 weeks. I need this done now." Not that she said it like that, but instead, you're like, "Honey, could you? Honey, could you do such and such?" And a lot of times, we're willing as long as people ask us in the right way. So we're going to create a vision board. I think I got a little off topic there. Let's create our vision board. I'm going to give you the guidelines, but first, I want to share with you the power of positive vision. There's negativity everywhere around us. TV, people, that are becoming sick, eat this, don't eat that, exercise, um, hoarding. I mean, there's so much negativity just watching TV. I actually record things and skip the commercials. That's another story too. Commercials, bad. They always tell you something bad. So, years ago, and I told you about the Mary Kay. So in Mary Kay, I made a list of 10 things. I put pictures of what I wanted, like a free card that they gave. I put pictures of the diamond ring. In fact, here's one of them that I've got. I've got 7 diamond rings from the company from a quarter sales. So yes, I overcome my challenges. But not only did I make a vision board with pictures, but I also made a list of the top 10 things I would like to do. Like, would we like to go to the beach? Would we like to buy a house? Would we like to buy a car? And I put all these different things on there. I would like to have 100 clients. I would like to win the Mary Kay car, win the diamond ring, and all the other was filled in with things that my husband and I would like to achieve and do when we were younger. Guess what? I found that list of 10 way later, and eight of the items had been done. Yeah, I did win. I did get to drive several of the free cars for Mary Kay. They were then a red Grand Am. I loved my free car. So, what would you like to see in your marriage? Well, I'm going to share a story with you because sometimes we become adrift from each other and people start to kind of grow away from each other. And there's nothing better than this story. I remember the first time I read it. It is from The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale. And it's a powerful formula. So if you can, write this down: prayerize, picturize, actualize. And when we're talking about all the negative things and all the things that frustrate us, we just keep getting more of that. It's kind of like we just put it out there and it just keeps coming back. You know, they say what you put out there comes back to you. We just keep, and we get stuck there. I've been stuck there when there's hardships and frustrating things that happen. I've been stuck there. And I've also been in a position where suddenly one day I'm, like, I need to pray for this person or I need to pray about this. And it made all the difference. So whether you're Christian and you believe in God and you believe in prayer or not, I still want you to listen to this. So prayerize, pray about it first. Picturize what you want and then actualize. A woman discovered that her husband was drifting from her. Theirs had been a happy marriage, but the wife had become preoccupied in social affairs and the husband had gotten busy with work. Sound familiar? Before they knew it, the close old-time companionship they had was lost. One day she discovered his interest in another woman. She lost her head and became hysterical. She consulted her minister, who turned the conversation to her. She admitted had began. She admitted being a careless homemaker, and that she had also become self-centered, sharp-tongued, and nagging. Now that's coming from her mouth. And that goes back to that self awareness that we talked about earlier. She stopped and she started thinking about it. Yeah. She then confessed that she had never felt herself the equal of her husband. She had a profound sense of inferiority regarding him, feeling unable to maintain equally with him socially and intellectually. She also retreated into an antagonistic attitude that manifested itself in petulance and criticism. So, right here, we could see why they're having a problem. Suddenly, she's withdrawing from the relationship. You can see this. She's withdrawing from relationship, and if she's not depositing and putting anything back in, eventually the relationship, the bank account is empty. The minister saw that the woman had more talent, ability, and charm than she was revealing. He suggested that she created an image or picture of herself as a capable and attractive woman. He whimsically told her that God runs a beauty parlor and that faith techniques could put beauty on a person's face and charm and ease in her manner. He gave her instructions in how to pray and spiritually to picturize. He also advised her to hold a mental image of the resurrection of the old time. In other words, that day when they had a happy marriage. And I know I've seen times where I thought a couple was happy, and then suddenly one day it falls apart. You're like, what happened? Sometimes it's a slow fade, right? I sing a song called The Slow Fade. So sometimes it's a slow fade, and people don't even realize what's happening. But I do have to say, I think this was a smart pastor in this. a smart pastor. So he also advised her to hold a mental image of the restoration of the old time companionship, to visualize the goodness in her husband, to picture a restored harmony between the two of them. She was to hold his picture with faith, with faith, in the manner he prepared her for a most interesting personal victory. So it started out, I'm sure he was going to pray for her. And he had faith that God could restore this marriage. And he poured that into this woman. About this time, her husband informed her that he wanted, here comes the big D, a divorce. She had conquered herself to the extent of being able to receive this request with calmness. She simply replied that she was willing if he wanted, but suggested a deferral of the decision for 90 days on the grounds that divorce is so final. If at the end of the 90 days you still feel that you want a divorce, I will cooperate with you, she said calmly. Don't you know he wondered why she was so calm? He gave her a quizzical look, for he had expected an outburst. So right here, she became self-aware and she became prepared and she began to understand how to deal with this challenge instead of having to be reactive like most of us are. Night after night, here's the good part, y'all. Night after night, he went out. Well, it doesn't sound good, does it? And night after night, she sat at home, but she pictured him as seated in his old chair. He was reading as in the old days, and she visualized him puttering around the house, painting and fixing things as he had formerly done. She even pictured him drying the dishes as he had done whenever they were first married. She visualized the two of them playing golf together and taking hikes together as they had once done. She maintained this picture with steady faith. And one night, there he actually sat in his old chair. She looked twice to be sure that it was the reality rather than her picturization. But perhaps a picturization is reality, for at any rate, the actual man was there. Occasionally he'd be gone, but more and more nights he sat in his chair. Then he began to read to her like he had done in the old days. Then one Saturday, he asked, "What do you say to a golf game?" The days went by pleasantly until she realized that the 90th day had arrived. So that evening she said quietly, "Bill, this is the 90th day." "What do you mean?" he asked puzzledly, "the 90th day?" "Why, don't you remember? We agreed to wait 90 days to settle the divorce matter, and this is the day." He looked at her for a moment, then hid behind his paper, turning a page, saying, "Don't be silly. I couldn't possibly get along without you. Where did you ever get an idea I was gonna leave you?" She prayerized, she picturized, and she sought for result and actualized. Prayer power solved her problem and his as well. Isn't that crazy? What a crazy story. Well, the power of positive thinking. And as it said, prayerizing, picturizing, actualizing. Can you picture yourself and your spouse getting along, having fun, spending time together, encouraging one another, supporting one another? Well, this is part of your vision board. So create a vision board and a manifesto. Number one thing to do, identify the elements of the vision you'd like to see unfold for your board. Digital, you can do it digital or you can do it the old-fashioned way. I like to look up pictures online because I have a printer and it's just easy to find my pictures. We used to look at magazines for pictures, but you can find your pictures or create your pictures, or if you like to draw your pictures. I like to put it on an actual board, but you can do it online and then print it and put it in several different places. Cut out pictures, happy families, conversations, travel, shared chores, future children you might want to have, maybe purchasing a house or a van. Happy faces, doing things together, going hiking, going on vacation. So make your board what you would like to see. And then number two, each of you make a list of 5 things your spouse can do to help you feel more connected and loved. 5 things you each can do for each other to make you feel more connected and loved. And I have to share with you, I have a free gift, and it's called The Chemistry of Lasting Love. You can find it on my front page, or you can get it in my free dash gifts. So that's theextraordinarymarriage.com free dash, well, actually, .com slash free dash gifts. Or on my front page, you can get The Chemistry of Lasting Love. It tells you and helps you understand the top 5 things that your spouse needs from you and that you need from your spouse. It can change your relationship right there. It's a great place to start. The third thing is each write down something you need your spouse to stop doing. I mean, let's be real. What is one thing that just gets under your skin so very much? One thing. We can't do a lot of things, but we can do something. Put an X on that, and then when it's happened and it's gone away, take it off the board. You see, with this, the thing is to write down and visualize the things that you want to see, to prayerize, picturize, and then actualize. When you write down things that you want to see and you have you develop a more positive attitude, a positive approach with your spouse, things do change. The second thing I want you to do after you've done your vision board, you created that board together, things you would like to achieve together, what you'd like to see together in your lives. For 2026, right now I'm recording this in 2026, but this is good every year, any time of the year. I want you to write your own personal manifesto. And what that entails is imagining your best self. That great day, you have lots of energy, you're loving, kind, and all that kind of stuff. It's your mission statement. Write it as if it's already happened. I'm thoughtful, patient, and kind. My spouse and I support each other and love spending time together. So you're going to write it in that fashion. Present tense, like I am this. Not I'm gonna be, but I am this. And the prompts you're going to use is you're going to write a little paragraph for relationships, write a paragraph for work, one for finances, one for healthy living, what that means to you, and one about your spiritual life. When you take care of all these areas, your relationship, your work, your finance, your health, and your spiritual life, you can handle many things in life. You can have a better attitude. You see the world as a better place because you are proactive. You are developing a positive attitude. You are, you pray about it and you expect the best. And some people have more trouble expecting the best rather than others. All right. So I'm going to read again what I read in the beginning because this is so, so true. And there again, it's from Valorie Burton's book. And let me look at the note on the name of that. Valerie's Burton book, Rules of Resilience. What do people who overcome their obstacles have in common? Rather than allow the obstacle to overwhelm them, they stay focused on the vision. Not only the purpose that fuels it, but also the key action, habits, and attitude needed to reach their goal. On the next episode, I'm going to talk about narcissism. It seems that, many people who are looking for answers, they have real problems in their marriage. And I've seen narcissism at work, and it's a terrible thing. That narcissist, literally, they're just really unaware and they really don't care. But there's reasons for that. So we're going to explore all things about narcissism in the next episode of The Extraordinary Marriage. But I hope right now this helped you. You have a new vision, you have a new hope, and you'll put your faith in God first and pursue what I've shared with you today. All right, that's Connie Durham with The Extraordinary Marriage. Be sure and get your free gifts. I have lots of different things you'll find on the page, free dash gifts. theextraordinarymarriage.com/free dash gifts. Make it a great one.